medical examiner, Bill, who said, yes, it was, you know, it likely had no impact, and then later changed it that maybe it did have an impact. But again, as we get set, the sidebar is now over, and we have just done a count, Bill, if you're curious. Katie Huber, who's our producer, one of our producers, along with Priya, 65 sidebars. I wish you sent that text. So far, we're at 65 sidebars.
Do you remember how many there were?
I don't think there were 65.
I don't think there were 65 either.
65. Thank you for that, Katie Huber, who is logging every minute. And that's one of the great things. We have a huge team here at WFTV, from Bruce, who's handling the blog, all of our camera crews out here, our technical staff, and then behind the scenes with our great producer, Priya. You have your legal assistant here, and then we have loggers that are logging every minute. And so if something happens in court, we're able to turn that around quickly, which is really great because, for example, on Friday when we saw the state attorney's office, Bernie De La Rionda, raise his right hand, we quickly, in case you missed it, turn that back around. Our editors are doing a great job, our photographers as well. So a little shout out there, because it is a team of dozens that are helping us put on our production.
Yes, there are. There's just dozens, as you have said. By the way, I just figured out why there's so many sidebars. In Casey Anthony's case, the evidence was already set. The judge had made a decision. There wasn't any of this issues about opening the door. Depositions had long been over and taken. The face of this trial keeps changing every day, and sometimes hour by hour, and Greg, sometimes minute by minute.
Yeah, with all the new stuff that's before this judge, we're going to try to figure out exactly what that long sidebar was. We've had some sidebars that have been 30 minutes plus. That one not quite at 30 minutes. In fact, at 16 minutes for this latest sidebar. Jury walking in. Let's go to courtroom 5D as we begin. Again, day 19 in the Zimmerman murder trial.
If your answer is yes to any of my questions, please raise your hand. During the recess, the weekend recess, did any of you have discussions amongst yourselves or with anybody else about the case? No hands are being raised. Did any of you read or listen to any radio, television, or newspaper reports about the case? No hands are being raised. Did any of you use any type of an electronic device to get on the internet to do independent research about the case, people, places, things, or terminology? No hands are being raised. And finally, did any of you read or create any emails, text messages, Twitters, tweets, blogs, or social networking pages about the case? No hands are being raised. Thank you very much. I don't know whose next witness it is, but defense, please call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Defense will call Sondra Osterm.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, John?
Yes.
I might have a moment to... Looks as though this is not the traditional computer from this courtroom, so the login is not on it. If we don't know it, I may need a minute to just use mine. Perhaps the login for the courtroom computer?
I don't.
No. This might just take a moment. And what I'll do, if you don't mind multitasking, I'll begin with her. Morning, ma'am. State your name, please.
Sondra Osterm.
And you live here in Seminole County?
Yes.
How long have you lived in Seminole County?
16 years.
Okay. And are you married?
Yes.
And who are you married to?
Mark Osterman.
And he's testified before. What's his occupation?
He's a federal air marshal.
Okay. And he's been involved in law enforcement quite some time, hasn't he?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have y'all been married?
Almost 17 years.
Okay. You know George and Shelley Zimmerman?
Yes.
Tell me how you met George.
I met Georgie at a mortgage company called First Trust back in 2006.
Okay. And was that a place where you worked together?
Yes.
And what type of work did you do back then?
Mortgage business.
And was Mr. Zimmerman doing something similar?
Yes. He was in the sales and I was processing.
Okay. Did you guys become friends over the time that you worked together?
Yes.
Did you maintain that friendship?
Yes.
And it's that friendship that brings you here today, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And I know that you were present or around during the time both preceding the event that brings us here and, of course, right after the event, correct?
That's correct.
What I'd like to do, however, today is just focus your attention on one subject of that. And that is what we are calling the Lauer 911 tape. To identify to you, that's the tape that has a voice in the foreground. Turns out her name is Miss Lauer. Voices in the background, or voice in the background, and then what we now know to be the gunshot that killed Mr. Martin.
Right.
So before we get to that, tell me, over the past few years, how often would you and George Zimmerman interact?
Well, we worked with each other every day, and then his wife and I were best friends, and we'd all kind of hang out together at least every week or so.
All right. Have you then had a good opportunity to hear George's voice?
Yes.
Would that be in person?
Yes.
And over the phone?
Yes.
If you would tell the jury sort of the range. I mean, would you hear him, not to lead you, but talking, laughing, just sort of go through the different types of conversations or voices, if you will, that you heard?
I would hear him talking and laughing and maybe a little frustrated.
And would this be sort of over the several years that you've known him?
Right, yes.
Now, you acknowledge that you're a good friend of his, correct?
That's correct.
And you guys have helped each other out over the years, correct?
That's correct.
Certainly, you helped out or helped the family through the initial stages of this event, correct?
Yes.
Then there was a time when you could no longer have contact with him?
Yes.
Because of the case?
Yes.
Okay. Still maintain a friendship, though, from afar?
As far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Would your friendship with him impact on how you're going to testify today regarding what you may hear on the tape?
As far as what I lie?
Well, I guess that's a non-lawyer way to say it.
I wouldn't lie for him or anybody.
Okay. And let me, if I might, Your Honor, play what's already in evidence as Exhibit 158.
You may do so.
Do you need police, fire, medical?
Maybe both. I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming outside.
Okay, what's the address that they're near?
1211 Twin Trees Lane.
Twin Trees Lane? Is this in the Twin Lakes homes in Sanford?
Yes.
Okay. And is it a male or female?
It sounds like a male.
And you don't know why?
I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know. Just send someone quick, please.
Okay. Does he look hurt to you?
I can't see him. I don't want to go out there. I don't know what's going on. So they're sending.
So you think he's yelling help?
Yes.
All right. What is your
Just there's gunshots.
You just heard gunshots?
Yes.
How many?
Have you had a chance to listen to that tape before today?
Yeah.
And on how many occasions?
A few.
Okay. Do you know whose voice that is? in the background screaming?
Yes, definitely. It's Georgie.
And how is it that you know that?
I just hear, I hear it. I hear him screaming.
Nothing further, Your Honor. This witness, I'm going to leave this here. This is in case the state wants to replay it. I'll show you how to do it on this computer. If not, I'm going to leave it here for other witnesses.
Okay, thank you. You may cross.
You need it out of your way.
We may need to put another one. Can you put the one in sanction?
Sure.
Oh, I apologize.
No problem at all. I'm just going to. I'm sure she knows better than either one of us, but let me undo this.
We're just going to need a minute for the technical. And while that's being set up, Miss Osterman, good morning.
Good morning.
You and your husband wrote a book on behalf of the defendant, did you not?
Let me object, Your Honor. Outside the scope is correct.
Honor, it shows bias.
I would like a proffer of how that issue would bias.
Overruled.
You and your husband, Mark Osterman, wrote a book, the title of it, right, regarding Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you stated that you and your husband, whatever money was made, you were going to donate it to Mr. Zimmerman. Is that correct, to his cause?
Yes.
Okay. So you would agree that you have a stake in this, don't you?
A stake?
Yeah, in terms of the book. How many books have been sold as a result of Mr. Zimmerman being charged with this crime, in terms of you all? How many books have you guys sold?
I have no idea.
And all the money that is being made from that book, are you all profiting it, or are you donating the profits to Mr. Zimmerman's?
Actually, we're depositing it into our savings for George after.
Okay, you keep saying George. It's George Zimmerman. We're talking about the defendant, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I believe you've known Mr. Zimmerman for how long?
Since 2006.
And you met him through work.
That's correct.
And in fact, you ended up marrying he and his wife, correct?
That's correct.
And he is left-handed, correct?
Yes.
Now, regarding the recording that was played for you, you had heard this, you heard it 2 or 3 times, you said, or 4 times?
A few times.
Okay. Did it take you a while to figure out who was actually yelling?
Absolutely not.
You, from the first time you heard it, you knew?
Time.
I apologize. I interrupted you, ma'am.
The very first time I knew it was George.
So why did you have to listen to it more than once?
Because it's played on the news all the time.
Okay. And the first time you heard it was on the news?
Yes.
And so on the news, it was dealing with this case, George Zimmerman, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you were aware that the recording was dealing with George Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay. And that in no way influenced you in reaching your opinion that this was George Zimmerman on the recording?
No.
Okay. Now, you had it lined up. Ma'am, listen to this and tell me if you recognize this voice.
These assholes, they always get away.
Mr. De La Ronda,
If you would.
there's an objection.
Actually, just a request for what exhibit it is.
What exhibit are you playing, please?
It is part of the 911 non-emergency call that the defendant made. Okay. I didn't want to tip her off in terms of the recording, and that's why on purpose.
Okay, go ahead.
Then I didn't mean to get in the way.
Well, now you know what I'm going to play for you. I was trying to do it so that, but you have heard this recording before, correct?
I don't know.
Okay, let me play a part. See if you recognize this.
Okay. These assholes, they always get away.
Do you recognize that voice?
Yes.
And who is that voice is saying, pardon my language, these assholes, they always get away?
That's Georgie.
George Zimmerman?
Yes.
You know, in court, we were supposed to give their... I apologize. All right. Sorry. So I just go up here? Okay. And where is the... Let's give you recognize this.
Straight in, don't turn and make a lot of shit. He's running.
He's running. Which way is he running?
He's down towards the entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. He's running. Which way is he running?
He's down towards the entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Do you recognize that voice as being George Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had never actually heard the 911 tape other than when you heard it when it was being played, George Zimmerman, but you had not heard the defendant screaming before, had you?
Like that? No.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Just a bit, Your Honor.
Do you need this?
No, that's okay. So you heard him say the word assholes, right?
Yes.
On the tape?
Yes.
And you heard him talk for years now, correct?
That's correct.
Did that word, the way he said assholes, did that give you a sense that he was acting with spite or ill will or hatred in that sense?
No.
Did that seem to be just to be an offhand way of talking to whoever it was he was talking about?
Yes.
Did you, knowing as you do George's voice throughout the years, did you even hear, by the way, the second time, did you hear him say the expletive that Mr. Delayondo repeated?
I didn't hear that, no.
So even the second time when you were answering it, you were saying, generally, that's George. In everything that you heard him say on that tape, was there anything in George's voice that gave you the impression that he was angry or acting with ill will or spite or hatred on that phone call?
No.
So since you've never heard him scream like this before, how are you certain it's his voice?
I just felt it. I knew that it was him. I just knew it. And I saw the reaction that his wife had in listening to it. I mean, we were all together. It was definitely George.
But it is your own opinion,
Absolutely.
separate and apart from everybody else's, that the voice we just heard was George Zimmerman screaming for help?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Nothing further, Louis.
You were asked about and I'm not going to play it again, but those two things that I played, the two clips, correct?
Yes.
Where he uttered the, pardon my language, assholes. Are you saying that he speaks that on a normal basis?
I'm
on
saying
a regular basis?
I've heard him say it before.
Okay, and so you're saying that when he is following somebody and he's referring to these, pardon my language, these assholes always get away, he's just trying to invite them out to dinner?
I don't think I said that, no.
Okay, so, well, you were asked in terms of your impressions of whether it was ill will or hatred. Does somebody that is talking to somebody else in that manner, you think that they're like saying, hey, come on over and let's talk and let's go out to dinner?
Well, I don't think he was angry.
You don't think he was angry?
Not at all.
You were there that night?
I was not. I only have what you have to listen to.
Okay, so you're speculating as to how he was feeling based on just those two terms, correct?
I guess we both are.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
So, yes.
Okay, but what you're saying is that when somebody tells the police, which he's talking to, that these, pardon my language, these assholes always get away, he's not upset that in the past people have gotten away and this time they're going to get away. This time Mr. Trayvon Martin is going to get away? You don't take it as that?
I don't take it as he's angry, no.
Okay. And when somebody...
Okay, it's a speaking objection.
Proper foundation.
Okay,
I'll be glad to play it again, Your Honor.
okay, please do so.
And the second one would be speculation, even if it's played again, but let him play it again.
And we can get you some headphones if you need to. We can go upstairs.
No, I would also, under 106 request, in the rule of completeness, that the entire tape be played.
Okay, go ahead and play the entire tape. Do you want headphones?
Yes, I want to play this part, and I'll be glad to play the entire tape, but I want to focus on this part.
I request in the rule of completeness that is the entire tape.
He's going to do it, so...
Okay, thank you.
He said he will do it.
He was straight in. Don't try to make a little shit. He's running. He's running. Which way is he running? He's down towards the entrance of the neighborhood. Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards? The back entrance.
Okay. Did you hear him say, Mr. Zimmerman, you recognize his voice, correct?
I do recognize his voice.
And you heard him say, pardon my language, shit, he's running, correct?
I did hear that, yes.
And then you could tell he's out of breath, can't you?
I don't know about that.
Well, you can tell his voice changes, doesn't it?
It didn't, I don't think so.
You want me to play it again?
I've heard it 3 times. I don't think his voice is changing.
You think his voice is just constant throughout that?
It seems to be, to me.
Okay. And all we're asking you is... You got a disc. $173.
And out of the sensitivity to those watching, we are muting the cuss words as we catch them. And again, this is a key part of this testimony. And you, again, are not losing any of the audio, but just know that out of an abundance of caution, the 4-letter F word, we are muting that as it is being repeated over and over and over again by State Attorney Representative Bernie Della Rianda. Back to courtroom 5D. Just wanted to let you know that's why you hear the sound dip out occasionally.
Yes, Your Honor, it's part of the State's Exhibit 173. Thank you.
It's raining, and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie, and either jeans or sweatpants and white tennis shoes. He's seen a room, and he was just staring.
Oh, he's just walking around the area
at all the houses.
Okay.
And now he's just staring at me.
Okay, he said did 1111 retrieve you or 111?
That's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Do you know what he's near the clubhouse right now?
Yeah, now he's coming towards me.
Okay.
This guy's hand in his waistband. Yeah, he's a black male.
Okay. How old would you say he was?
He's got a button on his shirt. Late teens.
Late teens, okay.
Something wrong with him. Yeah, he's coming to check me out. He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is.
Okay, just let me know if he does anything, okay? Yeah, we got him on the line. Just let me know if this guy does anything else.
Okay. These assholes, they always get away. Yeah. When you come to the clubhouse, you come straight in and make a left. Actually, you go past the clubhouse.
Okay, it says on the left-hand side from the clubhouse?
And then you go in straight through the entrance, and then you make a left. You go straight in, don't turn and make a left. Shit, he's running.
He's running. Which way is he running?
He's down towards the entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay, which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that. Alright, sir, what is your name?
George. He ran.
Alright, George, what's your last name?
Zimmerman.
And George, what's the phone number you're calling from?
407-435-2400.
Alright, George, we do have him on the way. Do you want to meet with the officer when they get out there?
Yeah.
Alright, where are you going to meet with them at?
If they come in through the gate, tell them to go straight past the clubhouse, and straight past the clubhouse and make a left, and then they go past the mail. I don't know. It's a cut through, so I don't know the address.
Okay, do you live in the area?
Yeah.
What's your apartment number?
It's a home. It's 1950. Oh, crap. I don't want to get it out loud. I don't know where this kid is.
Okay, do you want to just meet with them right near the mailboxes, then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, George, I'll let them know to meet you with you out there.
Actually, could you have him call me and I'll tell him where I'm at?
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
You need my number? You got it?
Yeah, I got it. 407-435-2400.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, no problem. I'll let them know to call you when they're in the area.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I believe that was the entire tape, the phone call that he made. You recognize the defendant's voice?
Yes.
Okay. You were also asked by Mr. O'Mara whether you, in terms of you being positive that the voice you heard on the other call, you want me to play that again for you?
No.
Okay. You recognize it as being, you believe George Zimmerman, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in that call, when you heard the cries for help, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever hear any interruption at all? Did they interrupt, or were they continuous cries for help? Weren't they continuous cries for help?
Yes.
Okay.
Appeared to be.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
Any redirect?
There is some based upon the new information presented, Your Honor. Now that you've had a chance to listen to the entirety of the phone call, I want to ask you some questions about that, okay?
Okay.
Anywhere on that call, any word, any sentence, any phrase, did you hear anything that to you, knowing George Zimmerman's voice as you do, evidence that he was angry or acting with ill will?
No.
That he was spiteful in his presentation to the law enforcement officer?
No.
When he said things like, he looks black, did that come across to you as spiteful or hateful?
No.
But about when he was, right after he said the word asshole, when he was given directions to the clubhouse. You heard the word assholes, correct?
Yes.
And I know these are uncomfortable for you and we're just throwing out curse words like we can, but understand that in the context of a courtroom, we live with the evidence, okay?
Okay.
So using that word, assholes, I think you testified that did not evidence to you any ill will or hatred?
No.
How about the words right afterwards when he said that and then he said, he gave directions to the clubhouse? Did he seem exasperated or angry in that?
No.
When he said, shit, he's running away, then the officer asked him, where's he running? And he said, down towards the back entrance. Did that language to you evidence any anger or hatred?
No.
How about when the officer asked him, are you following him? And he said, we don't need you to do that. And George said, okay. Did you hear any anger in that?
No.
Could you identify what that wind noise or that sound was during that part of the conversation?
No, I didn't know.
When he said, when they were talking about where to meet, and Mr. Zimmerman gave him his telephone number, any anger that you heard in that?
No.
When he said the word crap, that he had just given out his telephone number sort of out there in the open, when he said that word crap, did it evidence any anger or ill will or spite or hatred to you?
No.
And how about right after you used that word when he just said, yeah, I'll meet you at the mailboxes, or no, just have him call me? Did you hear anything in his voice that gave you an idea that he was getting upset or that he was angry at anybody, never mind the person who may have been him talking about?
No, I didn't.
And Mr. Del Rionda asked you whether or not those screams were continuous, and you said you thought so?
Yeah.
Did they seem to be scream, time, scream, time, scream, time, or was it or, which is the alternative? Okay.
Rephrase your question.
May I give an alternative? Which?
Rephrase your question.
Okay. Did you hear gaps between the screams, gaps in time between the screams? Let me ask it this way. Was that one long, continuous scream without any stopping, or was it individual screams?
I don't think it was long and continuous, but there were a lot of cries for help.
Okay. A lot of separate cries?
Objection, please.
Sustained.
Nothing further than, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. May Ms. Osterman be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You may be excused. Call your next witness, please.
Defense will call Mark Osterman, Your Honor.
Mr. Romero.